About 3 weeks ago, my graphics card blew up, which I'm sure was nothing to do with this storage system. So we ran away to an untouched area of the world and started building a village. And you may notice, look at this. I have all the frames, like literally all the frames, all the new stuff is here. We are doing wonderful. And I can actually record again, which is nice. But thanks for sticking with me through all my computer troubles. It turns out it was actually more than just the graphics card in the end as well. Pretty much the whole thing has been replaced. But let's not dwell about that, because it has been a good few weeks since the last hardcore episode. And one of the big discussions we were having was around this top area here. What were we going to do with it? Are we going to put a castle on here? Are we going to put an abbey or a church or just a great big mansion? And I have come to absolutely no decision just yet. Yes, I've had 3 weeks to think about it, and no, I have not decided yet. But that doesn't mean we can't still crack on, because I've got a lot of interiors to sort out around here. And as you may know, if you've ever seen any of my other series before, I tend to skip interiors quite often, mainly because they're quite tedious. But I think I really do actually want to make sure that this is a fully fledged village with full interiors in all the buildings. And of course, I still need to build a whole lot more trees. And in fact, I think that's where I might begin. So while I ponder what we're going to put at the top of the hill there, I think I'm going to cram some more trees in. I definitely want to cover this hillside here and make sure all of this blends in a little bit nicer. And then hopefully by then, I'll have a plan for up the top here. So let's go build some trees. We're making some progress. It's definitely looking a lot denser over there, and I've also put a little bit of bone meal and a few rocks and things in the floor as well, as you can see, and I think that's really coming together nicely. It's definitely making that hillside look a bit better. But sadly, I've run out of spruce leaves, so we're just going to pop over here. We're going to grab a few leaves, grab some more tree stem things. What are they called? Logs, that's the one. Tree stems? What am I talking about? So yeah, we're going to grab some logs, we're going to grab some leaves, and then we're going to get a few more trees down on that hillside. And I might even talk you through how I'm actually doing them, because I'm not a fan of building trees in Minecraft. I've always struggled with them. I tend to avoid it quite a lot. But, well, these ones seem to be working, I guess. Probably because there's a lot of them in one area. But we'll have a little closer look, and I'll show you what I'm doing to get these down nice and quickly. Right, we've got a bunch of leaves. Let's build some trees. And if you're like me, you don't really like building trees in Minecraft because you're not very good at them. But also, you don't like the standard trees like the ones behind me because they just look a bit naff. Yes, I used the word naff. I'm old. But with these trees here, they're fairly simple to build. They only take about 10 minutes each. And although not perfect, and especially if you actually just look at one of them on its own, they're a little bit janky. But when you've got loads of them together like this, they kind of blend in and we can get away with it. And we only need a few things to get these down. So the first thing I've been doing is just making a small square like this and sort of varying the heights of this bit as we go up. So you end up with, not that, something a little bit like this. So it just gradually gets thinner as it goes up. And then in some of them, I've been putting in a little kink as well, because why not? And then we use these slabs here, the dark oak slabs, just to cover up these tops. Once you've got a reasonable number of logs down, depending how tall you want your tree, I then switch to using fences, usually somewhere between 4 and 6 of those, and then we just have a few leaves on top. And occasionally, I do put a fence on top as well. The next step is then just to grab your fences and start putting in where you want some of the branches. On these bigger ones here, you can even get away with using a couple of logs on the very bottom here, just to kind of start off the branches. But generally, I tend to stick to the fences here. Because this is a spruce, I do generally try to sort of have them arching downwards as well in these places, especially at the bottom, coming out maybe 2 or 3 blocks from the trunk itself. And going to bed to make sure it's daylight is always a good plan too. So let's get a few more of these in for now, and then we can start adding a few leaves. In fact, that's probably a good starting point. So fairly basic at this stage, as you can see. Next up, I tend to put leaves on top of all of these, and then we'll kind of stretch these out and down a little bit. So generally what I try and do is leave some air gaps as well, because it kind of gives room for the trees to breathe. Otherwise they're going to end up looking like this. So this is always the hard bit, placing the leaves, because you want it to be kind of fairly random and bushy, but at the same time it does need to have some structure. And that's where adding in the occasional extra fence post is also handy. So I've got the bottom layer of the tree in, and what we're going to do is essentially the same thing slightly higher up and slightly smaller. So now I need to crack out my fence posts again. We'll come out a couple in most places, and also vary the height as you go around the tree as well, because that's going to make it look a little bit more full, I think. Well, I mean, it seems to be working. And just to clarify, I am by no means a tree expert. In fact, I'm quite the opposite when it comes to Minecraft trees. So if you do have any tips and things that can help make this a little bit easier, how I can improve these, then please, please, please do let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, because this it really is something that I think makes a huge difference to builds, having custom trees. But yeah, always a pain to build. So we're just going to keep building the tree up like this. We're going to get in lots of sort of triangular type shaped branches because, well, it is a spruce tree and that's what's going to work for this thing. And as I say, every now and then just sticking in another fence post as well, just to make it look a little bit more twiggy. And there we go, the next layer is on, and now we just repeat this the rest of the way up the tree. Once again, we'll just go a little bit thinner, so we'll probably only have sort of one fence post in most of these places now. And then once again, we'll just build out these branches a little bit. Okay, so we're pretty much at the top of the logs now, and on this bit here, what I tend to do is pretty much just put a few leaves, leave lots of gaps at the top here. They generally are a little bit spindly at this point. Then if we stand back and have a look at that, that looks okay at the top there. And if you look at the overall shape now, you just want to be looking out for bits where it looks particularly flat, or if there's anything that sticks out too far. And there we go, a very simple spruce tree, which, as I say, doesn't look particularly great on its own, but once you get a bunch of them together, it really is an improvement on the basic ones. Well, I think so, at least. But that's enough talk about trees. I think it's time we made a decision for up here, and I think I want to build a church. I don't think that this kind of little village here will warrant a castle up here. I think if we're going to build a castle, we can choose a much better location up in the mountains. However, it does definitely need something, so I'm thinking maybe a church that follows a similar kind of style to this, but will clearly be the biggest building in town. And having that sitting here on top of the hill, I mean, maybe on the top of it, I don't really know, but definitely at least up here, I think that's going to look quite good, especially if it's got some trees around it as well. What in the world? Well, that's new. Crazy llama. Anyway, so I've made my way back up the top here, and I'm trying to work out exactly where we're going to put this church. And I think this lower level here is going to be better than the top there. When I stood back and had a look a little bit like this. Let's go all the way back here. So as you can see from here, I think if we had a church tower here with the church stretching out this way, I think that's going to look quite nice. And then we can have some trees up on this hill as well. Maybe even a nice waterfall running down will be marvelous. But for now, let's focus on laying out this church. I think I've put this tower a little bit too far over that way for now. So let's pull this maybe out to about here somewhere. And apparently I hate myself because I'm putting this on an angle as well. So this could turn out to be a complete mess and I might regret it. But we'll see how we get on. So if that's going to be the entrance tower at the front, I think what we want to do is work out the rest of the building. Maybe going out this way, 4 blocks, and then that way. Let's try the same on this side. I'm just going to have a little play around with a floor plan here. And once we've got something to look at, I'll bring you back in. So I think something around that size should work quite nicely. But what I want to make sure I'm doing is keeping with the kind of style that we've got down here, which is obviously lots of arches and arched roofs and curvy bits and wiggly bits, which is going to be an absolute pain to do on a diagonal. So, yeah. Let's see how we go. So I think I'm roughly happy with how this is going so far. Let's have a little look from further away, but if we have a little munch as well so we don't die, yeah, I think that's going to work quite well up there. I mean, we're going to swap out this stone for probably some of the mushroom blocks and mud and stuff like that, but if we stand on this island over here, yeah, that's going to look perfect. I think that's just about the right size. We're going to see some of the roof here from the main part of the church, but most of the focus is going to be on this tower here. Excellent stuff. So let's swap out the stone of that tower for some packed mud for now. And then we should probably look at trying to get a roof on that weird thing. Oh, that's going to be an absolute pain doing a roof on this, isn't it? Well, for a first attempt, I'd say that's not actually come out too bad. I mean, it could do with like a little bit of a wall and then maybe a flag or something on top. But the overall shape of that, if we fly away and have a proper look, yeah, that's looking good. Let's get some texture on it. Minutes later, and that's looking much better already. We've just put some rough texture on, similar to what we've got in the rest of the village. Does still need some foliage though, and of course I've stuck a flag on top, which when we look at the village from a distance now, that really does make a huge statement. So I guess what we need to do now is to get some detail on this thing, specifically in the landscape around it, and of course I need to connect it up to the rest of the village here, and then I guess it's going to be back to more trees, isn't it? So before we get the last of the detailing, I think I do actually want to mark out the route this is going to take down the hill first. And I think it makes most sense to sort of go in this general direction. And then, I don't know, maybe we could either swoop the path down or possibly even put some stairs in down here. Where are we trying to connect to? So I think I've got a rough route in, but it's going to need a fair amount of work to actually make it walkable. If we fly back, is that the route we definitely want to take? Yeah, I think that makes sense, and then we can get lots of trees and things on this hillside here. Go, that's looking better. We've got a path now that goes all the way up to the top. I still need to rough it up a little bit, get a little bit of oak mixed in, and of course we need to sort out all of the surrounding landscape because it's a little bit bland right now, and that means we need to add a bunch more trees. I kind of want to cover a lot of this hillside with the pine trees here, and I also want to make sure I'm getting some up on the top here as well, and probably even a few behind the church. And then, of course, we need to sort out the garden areas as well. So I think I'm going to start just with a few leaves. We're going to get this area looking a little bit nicer. We'll get some dirt and some coarse dirt as well. But mainly, it's going to be trees again, isn't it? Let's be honest. Lots more trees. I'm sick of building trees. But I think it's all been worth it. That's looking much better up there now. Look at the way that all just blends in together, and the houses are nicely hidden in the forest, and I think, for the most part, we're now done with the exterior of the village. And we can actually walk all the way from the entrance to the village here, which is sort of down by this forest, I guess. We can actually now walk all the way up to the top. We've still got a few issues that we need to sort out, though. One is lighting. We've got lighting in a reasonable amount of spots. However, if we're going to be releasing these villagers, then we need to make sure that this place is actually safe. Because currently, in the hills here, where the trees are, that's where we seem to be getting quite a few problems with skeletons and creepers and whatnot. So I've had to fly away quite a lot just to unload the area, because I can't be bothered to hunt them all down. But if we go up this way here, look at this, look. We get lovely views over the village as well as we go, with all the smoke coming from the chimneys. Oh, it's wonderful. Still has absolutely no purpose, though, this village, does it? But if we now head all the way up here, you can see I've got this path finished with all the trees. You can see the church peeking at the top. And as you get to the top, it's nice and simple, a little bit overgrown like the rest of the village. But I think this is looking good. I'm not going to open that door, because there's obviously a full interior in... Oh, you can see through the window. Dang it. Okay. So, interiors. This is the last thing that I want to do. And these little houses down here, if we have a little look, these ones shouldn't be too bad. They're fairly small. We can just divide them up a little bit. Maybe get like a bedroom and a kitchen, and maybe even a little sort of entrance hall / chilling area in each one. These should be fairly straightforward. But it's these bigger ones up here that are definitely going to take a little bit longer, because in most of them, we've actually got sort of 3 floors. So, yeah, lots to be done in here. But I guess that just means we can divide up the house a little bit bigger, have a little bit more room. But that is going to mean we need a lot more things to put in these houses. So what I need to do is dump all this stuff away for now, and then I guess we're gonna have to head back to storage and see what we can rustle up to build some interiors with. So the main thing that I want to get for these interiors is going to be bookshelves. We want a whole bunch of bookshelves because, well, every house is gonna have at least one, but one of the buildings in particular is going to be a library. It's gonna have lots and lots of bookshelves. So my thinking is, if we head this way back towards our starter island, which is only about 500 blocks or so from that new village we've just built, just beyond that, we do have our stronghold, and I've not really looted it properly yet, so I'm hoping that there's going to be a library in there that we can just steal all the books from. But there's only one way to find out, and I guess I should probably... Yeah, I should probably grab some torches before we go as well. So, we're in. Let's go have a look around, see if we can find ourselves a library. Oh, look at that. In fact, there was a library here, and it appears we've already been here. We just didn't loot it last time. But hopefully this will be more than enough bookshelves, although it's probably worth exploring the rest of the stronghold, I guess, just in case there's more lurking around. There could be another library after all. Well, not bad. We got just over 3.5 stacks from the first library. Let's see if we can find ourselves another one. Hello. Yes. Ah, amazing. We have a second library. More bookshelves. Give them to me. There we go. That's the second library cleared. And we now have All the bookshelves. Excellent. So I've got all my bookshelves. I've got a bunch of spruce and other woods. I've got all sorts going on here. And I should hopefully have everything I need to actually start sorting out these interiors. So with these small ones here, I might come up with something kind of generic that we can then use in all of the small ones. But we'll see. So let's have a little play around and see what we can do. I think the first thing I want to do is swap out the floor because we're going to be using spruce trapdoors, I think, as wall dividers. So we don't really want a spruce floor as well, otherwise it's all just going to blend into one, and that's certainly not what we want. So I think what we're going to do is go for a checkered oak floor. I do love how this looks. Much better. Now let's see if we can get this divided up. So I think that's going to do for the walls. We're going to have a bedroom in here and a sort of storeroom area type here. And to be honest, I'm probably actually going to put a door on this side here so it goes through to the kitchen. That'll make a bit more sense. So what we need to do now is to build some kind of a kitchen here, and that should be fairly straightforward. There we go. I think that works quite well for a little kitchen. That's not too shabby. And I've also done the storeroom back here as well. Once again, just a few bits dumped around, nothing too special, but it should do the job nicely. Now to sort out the bedroom. So let's maybe put a shelf up the back here. We'll stick a lantern on there. And I think if we were to get some more flower pots as well, a little flower pot up there would look lovely. So for the bed itself, let's actually go get a bed. And then we'll put a lovely little bedside table in. And, well, that's actually looking quite cramped under there now, isn't it? Maybe we should rearrange this a little bit. There we go, that works better. Then what we'll do is we'll get a nice painting up in the hallway. Beautiful. We'll get a couple of plants down. And on this shelf, I think I'm actually going to put a llama head because, well, I have one, so why not? And I think the last thing it might need is potentially a little bit of colour on the floor. How's that going to look? Perfect. Okay, so that's one interior done. Only another... Oh god, this could take forever. Second one's done, and apparently I've decided not to do them all exactly the same. This one's got more of a lounge area out the front here, and then it's got the kitchen down the side, and a bedroom at the back. On to the next one. The third one is now done and looking good. Number 4 with another different layout. Love this bedroom. The fifth one looking a little bit brighter, and it has a lovely big room in here and a walk-in wardrobe, which is lovely. Number 6 is the first big building. This is actually a triple floor building, so we have a bit of storage on the second floor and a bedroom at the top. I've lost count, but we've got another small one here with a very weird layout, but I quite like it. And then we have another one of the big buildings complete now as well, which is looking pretty cool. Lots of open space in this one, but a tiny little bedroom at the top. And this is the last of the small buildings. Big open plan kitchen, which is lovely. A tiny little storeroom and a tasteful bedroom at the back here. I could be an estate agent. And I think we're now done with the last one. This is, of course, the librarian's house. There's lots and lots of reading books and nooks and all sorts going on here, and lots of stuff upstairs as well. And he's also got a tiny bedroom up there, but that's not very interesting. So I think with that, we're basically done. We have done every single interior in this village. Let's just not talk about the church. Can we not talk about the church? Fine, let's talk about the church. So the church is the one building I haven't put an interior in, and that's because, well, we built this village because we needed to get away from all the places where we had built before because our graphics card was dying and we had no frames. So we came over here and we built this village with absolutely zero purpose. But the problem with building something that has no purpose means you basically end up with something that you're probably not very likely to come back and visit again. I think what we might actually do up here is make a proper villager trading hall. Not in this episode, of course, because we're already running quite long, but I think maybe putting a villager trading hall in here, we might have to dig down a bit to make some more space. And I think that might actually give a nice purpose to this area. But for the most part, I think we're pretty much done over here now, so I hope you have enjoyed the build. I've had a lot of fun over here, and as the sun sets, one last look at our village. Look at that. Absolutely love it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now. I have created a mega shulker monster over here. Oh, my days.